We'll start with this. Ancient log. Following Gil 10's instructions, the research went well. We've created a clockwork mecha that can release energy. To be honest, we no longer need to call it a clockwork machine, as it doesn't rely on elastic potential. It'll be compelling to see what results he achieves next in kinematics. There's no way old-fashioned clockwork mecha can withstand such power output. Even young geniuses must stumble now and then. The thought of using this sort of unstable energy source is impressive, though we have long observed these unique energies in Fontaine's atmosphere, water, and organisms. It has always been regarded as a latent threat rather than a potential resource. Aren't there a few young geniuses too many nowadays? The director is pleased, sure, but won't someone spare a thought for us ordinary people? I mean, not all of us are as simple-minded as Scarbius. It received a very high rating. If the patent were to be granted, the potential financial gain would be considerable. However, I decided to decline the opportunity, because the machine was practically all Gil 10's work, and I can take no credit there. My family was quite angry about it, but as an engineer, one must have at least a little dignity and self-awareness. Still making improvements and output efficiency has increased. Seems to have been specially recruited. That's good. Had he continued that line of research, who knows what horrors he might have unleashed. At this stage, we have to pull out. The director says everyone will be given a position and research resources after reconstruction. But I'm afraid, if it were me, I would use this as an excuse for a major shakeup. People like me won't get recalled anyway. Never mind. I've been pretty happy these past few days. I guess I'll consider it my retirement. I'll go to the city and open a small workshop, repairing watches for folks. Cameras, too. Right, I'll see if I can make a waterproof clock. With the way things are going, I might make a killing in the future. My, but that was some incredible cynicism about the waterproof clock. Were you actually anticipating and looking forward to the day Fontaine drowned? My. Let me guess, the correct answer is going to be the Red Book. So we'll save it for last. Ancient Log, Jacob Ingold. Anyway, when it comes down to it, our research directions are different, so I applied for a new research lab with the director. But there's nothing for it anyway. Elan is incredibly intelligent, but he only trusts himself, and doesn't trust our observations or accomplishments unless he reaches the same conclusions through his own calculations. Well, it's okay. Since Elan is making the world a better place in his own way, I trust him, because this is the world that An lives in. Even though the Institute is full of people, I don't have many friends besides Carter. It feels like everyone kinda dislikes us. Renee managed to acquire something powerful to research. Apparently these appeared after the disaster, and are very dangerous for most people. But I feel okay. Maybe my constitution really has gotten a lot better. I helped Renee out. When I visited him, I found out that he also attended Narcissenkreuz Institute. We didn't tell him about the vice director abandoning us, or it would have made him sad. If only we could have helped him just like I was helped. After discussing it with Renee, he finally agreed to give it a try. He said since it's dangerous, everything needs to be made clear to Carter, and he must make the judgment himself as it concerns his own life. But if it's successful, then he'll survive just like I did. Ancient Log. It seems the ordinary Dari machines can no longer satisfy him. As a result, the director used national resources to obtain something truly horrifying. Rumor has it that someone was nearly killed. I hope this will help him achieve his research objectives. They even got him some rare Dari mechanical parts being studied by Sandrone researchers as part of the package. Things went out of control for a third time. Guillotin may be willing to risk his own life, but that doesn't mean the rest of us feel the same. I came up with an emergency damage control strategy, and I hope we won't need to use it before he finishes his kinematics research. However, given his personality, it seems unlikely that he'll ever truly complete that research. It seems that his experiments into machines were intended to create a mechanical dog as proof of his accomplishments in kinematics and material science. It's actually a good idea and could be showcased in the city, and the creature is much more personable and likable compared to the automated turret next door. At least he lived long enough to be poached by the Marechaussee hunters. It wasn't easy for us to survive this long either, but what will we do with this blasted crazy killing machine that can repair itself? Whatever, that's a problem for future generations. The research notes of Master Ruggiero. About the Golden Troop. Comparative studies have been conducted on the surviving ruins of the ancient orders from across the land. While they all had different names, the scripts and images left behind support the conclusion that they share the same origin. Ancient scholars believe that all arcane arts originated from a pre-Lemurian civilization, a belief that now seems to be much more than mere speculation. Fortuna seems to be the name of a symphony. Lemurian musicians call it the musica mundana, or the music of origin. In their eyes, the rise and fall of civilizations, as well as the fates of mortals, are all orchestrated by the movements of a symphony. And when a civilization perishes, a new one is always born in its wake. Their philosophical system is complex and enigmatic, bearing almost no relation to modern Fontaine's natural philosophy. However, this is hardly surprising. According to historical records, after Lemuria was brought to ruins, the refugees fell under the Loch Knight Erinys' sway. They willingly forsook their ancient faiths, tongues, and writings, embracing a life of devotion to the gods, as our forebears once had. I hinted at the matter to the Golden Hunter in an oblique way, since the Marechaussee hunters who first pledged themselves to his cause were all descendants of the Loch Knights. Praising the benevolence of Erinys seemed like the safest approach, and inquired about his knowledge of natural philosophy from that era. He was silent for about half a minute, then told me not to probe too deeply into those ancient philosophies, saying there was a reason they had been forgotten. Still, as a gesture of gratitude, the Golden Hunter was willing to tell me the names of these patterns. The seal of chemical marriage. According to him, this symbol is even older than the Lemurian civilization itself, and was one of the gifts bestowed upon King Remus by the Golden Bee. What exactly those were remains unclear. The rise and fall of empire and civilizations, the ascension of mortals, and the emanation of light. What is this? Even dreams of surpassing the gods. What is this? All of these can be represented by this formula. I cannot understand it at all. He declined to elaborate, and so I can only record these matters here, as they were told to me, in the hope that those who come after might one day decipher their meaning. Huh. And now for what I presume to be the correct answer. Another sermon dictation. Explications on the chimical marriage. Fundamentally, what the ancient orders designated as marriage was, in essence, an interpenetration of ontological distinct orthons. That's a bit of a mouthful. As you can see, it is a magic set in motion by the 3 particles above the kingdom, yet its metaphysical origin lies in the emanations of the 4 particles beneath the firmament. The alchemists of Khanria are prone to disregard metaphysical sentiment and affect, pursuing instead the goal of the ignorant within the material world. It is for this reason that their crude inquiry cannot be compared to the great undertaking we are to achieve today, one that is founded upon ancient Remurian-style theory. 3 pertains to appearance, while 4 pertains to the intrinsic. 7, obtained through their overlap, constitute the number of paths for vertical transcendence. We designated this process of overlap as marriage, for the union of the 2 through a mediating medium is akin to the matrimonial covenant of those bound in mutual love. Observe and compute the pathway displayed in the guidance diagram. Deconstructing and reversing its effects could generate potential ideas. Nevertheless, there is one thing everyone must keep in mind. Solve the first half of the equation. Leave the second unattacked. But you have all in the clear light, and some, though not all, in the dark. This is not because they possess any sanctity that renders them untouchable, but because they offer no benefit whatsoever to the world formula. Only mediocre minds, foolish beyond a certain measure, would actively seek to trespass upon such prohibitions, because in the eyes of the ignorant, taboo and precious are semantically identical. They fail to recognize that in most cases taboo, like convention, lacks merit for deeper inquiry. Take heed. What we speak of is the act of overlaying your dream upon the dream of gods, of overlaying your law, your will, and the starry sky upon ineffable sacrifices and despair. We do not speak of following emanations to achieve ascension to the ranks of gods. This is a base dream doomed to perish within an eggshell. What I am to teach you all is the principle of transcendence, the infinite expanse, and the innumerable stars within it. You, too, must act in this manner, unbound by any constraint. To choose division for the sake of convergence is the necessary path of marriage. At its core, magic is the science and art of effecting change according to the consciousness. Marriage is the instrument through which the art is realized. It is neither the subject that creates art, nor the object that art is created upon. The subject is always and can only ever be consciousness itself. One who is free from the weakness of consciousness bows neither to the gods nor death.